My name is Frances Townsend, and I'm 22 years old. 2 weeks ago, I stood on a graduation stage in front of 3,000 people while my parents, people who refused to fund my education because they deemed me unworthy, sat in the front row. They came to watch my twin sister graduate. They didn't know I was there, and they certainly didn't know I would deliver the keynote speech. But this story doesn't start at graduation. It starts 4 years earlier, in my parents' living room, when my father looked me in the eyes and said words I'll never forget. Before I continue, take a moment to like and subscribe, only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there. Let's go back to that summer evening in 2021. Acceptance letters arrived on the same Tuesday afternoon in April. Victoria got into Whitmore University, a prestigious private school costing $65,000 a year. I got into Eastbrook State, a solid public university at $25,000 per year. Still expensive, but manageable. That evening, Dad called a family meeting in the living room. "We need to discuss finances," he said, settling into his leather armchair like a CEO addressing shareholders. Mom sat on the couch, hands folded. Victoria stood by the window, glowing with anticipation. I sat across from Dad, still holding my acceptance letter. "Victoria," Dad began, "will cover your full tuition at Whitmore. Room, board, everything." Victoria squealed. Mom smiled. Then Dad turned to me. "Frances, we've decided not to fund your education." The words didn't register at first. "I'm sorry. Victoria has leadership potential. She networks well. She'll marry well. Build connections. It's an investment that makes sense." He paused. Then the next words hit like a knife. "You're smart, Frances, but you're not special. There's no return on investment with you." I looked at Mom. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Victoria was already texting someone, probably sharing her good news, so I had to process it myself. Dad shrugged. "You're resourceful. You'll manage." That night, I didn't cry. I had cried enough over missed birthdays, hand-me-downs, being cropped out of family photos. Instead, I sat in my room and realized something that changed everything. To my parents, I wasn't their daughter. I was a bad investment. But Dad didn't know, and nobody did, that his decision would redirect my life, and 4 years later, he'd face the consequences in front of thousands. This wasn't new. Favoritism had always been part of our family. When we turned 16, Victoria got a brand new Honda Civic with a red bow. I got her old laptop, cracked screen, battery lasting 40 minutes. Mom apologized. "We can't afford 2 cars." Yet Victoria had ski trips, designer prom dresses, summer abroad in Spain. Family vacations were worse. Victoria got her own hotel room. I slept on pull-out couches, once even in a closet labeled a cozy nook. In photos, Victoria was center frame. I was at the edge, often cropped out. At 17, desperate for answers, I asked Mom. She sighed. "Sweetheart, you're imagining things. We love you both the same." But actions don't lie. Months before college decisions, I found Mom's phone unlocked. A text with Aunt Linda read, "Poor Frances, but Harold's right. She doesn't stand out. We have to be practical." I walked away, determined. Not for revenge, but to prove something to myself. That night, I opened my cracked laptop and searched for full scholarships for independent students. I did the math at 2 a.m., notebook and calculator in hand. Eastbrook State, $25,000 per year. 4 years, $100,000, parents' contribution, $0. My savings, $2,300. The gap was huge. 3 options: drop out, take 6-figure debt, or go part-time and stretch 4 years into 7 or 8 while working full-time. Every path risked becoming exactly what Dad said I was: a failure, a bad investment, the twin who didn't make it. But it wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was proving myself right. I scrolled through scholarship databases, eyes burning. Most required recommendations, essays, proof of need. Some were scams, others had passed deadlines. Then I found Eastbrook's Merit Scholarship for first-generation and independent students. Full tuition plus a living stipend for only 5 students per year. The competition was brutal. Then I discovered the Whitfield Scholarship. Full ride plus $10,000 annually for living expenses, awarded to 20 students nationwide. I laughed. 20 students in the whole country. What chance did I have? But I bookmarked it. I had 2 choices: accept the life my parents designed or create my own. I chose the latter. I needed a plan, and I needed it fast. That summer, I filled a notebook with calculations and schedules. Job 1, barista at Morning Grind, 5 to 8 a.m., $800 a month. Job 2, cleaning crew, weekends, $400 a month. Job 3, TA in economics, $300 a month. Total, $1,500 a month, $18,000 a year, still $7,000 short to be covered by merit scholarships. Housing was minimal. A tiny room shared with 4 students, $300 a month, utilities included. No parking, AC, or privacy. My schedule became brutal but precise. 5 a.m. work at the cafe, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. classes, 6 to 10 p.m. study or TA work, sleep 11 p.m. to 4 a.m., 4 to 5 hours a night for 4 years. The week before college, Victoria posted Cancun photos, sunset beaches, margaritas, laughter. I packed a thrift store comforter into a secondhand suitcase. Our lives were diverging before they even started. Every night, I whispered, "This is the price of freedom," from expectations, judgment, needing their approval. I didn't know then how right I'd be or that a professor at Eastbrook would see something in me my parents never could. Freshman Thanksgiving, I sat alone in my small room, phone pressed to my ear. I listened to the distant laughter and clinking dishes of the family gathering I wasn't part of. "Hello, Francis." Mom's voice was distant. "Hi, Mom. Happy Thanksgiving." "Oh, yes. Happy Thanksgiving, honey. How are you?" "I'm okay." "Is Dad there? Can I talk to him?" A pause, then muffled. "Tell her I'm busy." Her voice returned artificially bright. "He's in the middle of something. Victoria's telling a story." I looked around at instant ramen, a secondhand blanket, library textbooks. "No, Mom, I don't need anything." "Okay, well, we love you." "Love you too." Then I opened Facebook. First thing in my feed, Victoria with Mom and Dad at the dining table. Candles lit, turkey shining. The caption read, "Thankful for my amazing family." I zoomed in on the image. 3 place settings. 3 chairs, not 4. They hadn't even included a place for me. I stared at that photo for a long time. Something shifted that night. The ache I'd carried for years, the need for approval, attention, love, didn't vanish, but it changed. It hollowed out. Where the pain had been, there was a quiet emptiness. And that emptiness gave me something pain never did. Clarity. Second semester of freshman year brought Microeconomics 101. Dr. Margaret Smith was legendary at Eastbrook. 30 years teaching, published in every major journal, known for being tough. Students said she hadn't given an A in 5 years. I sat in the 3rd row, took careful notes, and submitted my first essay expecting a B- at best. When it came back, there were 2 letters at the top, A+. Below it, "See me after class." My heart dropped. I assumed I'd made a mistake. After the lecture, I approached her desk. Dr. Smith was packing her bag, silver hair pulled into a tight bun, glasses low on her nose. "Frances Townsend." "Yes, ma'am." "Sit down." I did. She looked at me and said, "This is one of the best undergraduate essays I've seen in 20 years. Where did you study before this?" "Nowhere special. Public high school." "And your family academics?" I hesitated. "My family doesn't support my education financially or otherwise." The words came out before I could stop them. She set down her pen. "Tell me more." So I did. For the first time, I shared everything: the favoritism, the rejection, the 3 jobs, the 4 hours of sleep. When I finished, she was quiet, then said something that changed everything. "Have you heard of the Whitfield Scholarship?" I nodded. I'd seen it, but it felt impossible. 20 students nationwide, she said. Full ride, living stipend, and recipients at partner schools give the commencement address. She leaned forward. "Frances, you have extraordinary potential, but potential means nothing if no one sees it. Let me help you be seen." The next 2 years blurred into a strict routine. Wake at 4 a.m., coffee shop by 5, classes by 9, library until midnight, repeat. I skipped parties, games, late-night outings. While others made memories, I built a GPA 4.0 for 6 straight semesters. I nearly broke more than once. I fainted during a cafe shift. The doctor said exhaustion and dehydration. I was back the next day. Another time, sitting alone in Rebecca's car she'd lent me for an interview, I cried for 20 minutes. Not over one thing, but everything at once. Still, I kept going. Junior year, Dr. Smith called me into her office. "I'm nominating you for the Whitfield." I stared at her. "You're serious?" 10 essays, 3 interview rounds, she said. "It will be the hardest thing you've done." Then she added, "But you've already survived harder." The application consumed 3 months. Essays on resilience and leadership, interviews with faculty panels, background checks, references. In the middle of it, Victoria texted me for the first time in months. Mom says you don't come home for Christmas anymore. That's kind of sad, TBH. I read it, placed my phone face down, and returned to my essay. The truth was simple. I couldn't afford a ticket. And even if I could, I wasn't sure I wanted to go. That Christmas, I sat alone in my rented room with instant noodles and a tiny paper tree Rebecca made for me. No family, no gifts, no tension. It was the most peaceful holiday I'd ever had. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in September of senior year. Subject, Whitfield Foundation, final round notification. My hands shook as I scrolled. Out of 200 applicants, I'd been selected as one of 50 finalists. The final interview would be in New York. 50 finalists, 20 winners. On paper, a 40% chance. In reality, nothing was ever equal. The interview was 800 miles away. My bank balance, $847. A flight would cost at least $400, a hotel the rest, and rent was due in 2 weeks. I was about to close my laptop when Rebecca knocked. I showed her the email. She screamed. "You're going," she said. I argued I couldn't afford it. "Bus ticket is $53, she replied. "I'll lend you the rest." She grabbed my shoulders. "This is your shot." So I took the bus, 8 hours overnight, arriving in Manhattan at 5 a.m. in a borrowed blazer and thrift store shoes. The waiting room was full of polished candidates, designer bags, parents nearby. I looked at my outfit and thought I didn't belong. Then I remembered Dr. Smith's words. You don't need to belong. You need to show you deserve to. 2 weeks later, walking to my morning shift, my phone buzzed. Subject, Whitfield Scholarship, decision. I stopped mid-sidewalk and opened it. I'd been selected as a Whitfield Scholar for the class of 2025. I read it 4 times, then sat on the curb and cried openly. Years of exhaustion and effort finally released. Full tuition, $10,000 a year for living expenses, and the option to transfer to any partner university. That night, Dr. Smith called me. She told me Whitmore University was a partner school. If I transferred, I'd graduate with top honors and deliver the commencement speech. I said I wasn't doing it for revenge. She agreed. But if they happen to see you succeed, she added, that's just a bonus. I made my decision and told no one in my family. 3 weeks into my final semester at Whitmore, I was studying in the library when I heard a familiar voice. Oh my God, Francis. Victoria stood a few feet away, stunned. I closed my book calmly. She asked why Mom and Dad hadn't said anything. They don't know, I said. She struggled to understand how I was paying for it. I transferred on scholarship. The word changed her expression, confusion, disbelief, and something close to shame. Why didn't you tell anyone? She asked. I looked at her, my twin, who'd never once asked how I was surviving. Did you ever ask? She had no answer. As I gathered my books, she asked quietly if I hated them. I looked at her hand on my sleeve and said, no, you can't hate people you've stopped caring about. Then I walked away. That night, my phone lit up with missed calls. Mom, Dad, Victoria again. I silenced them all. Whatever was coming, it would happen on my terms, not theirs. Victoria called them immediately, I know because she told me later. She's here, Victoria said, barely inside her apartment. Frances is at Whitmore. She's been here since September. According to Victoria, silence filled the line for 10 seconds. Then Dad's voice, that's impossible. She doesn't have the money. She said scholarship. What scholarship? She's not scholarship material. Dad, I saw her in the library. I'll handle this. The next morning, Dad called me for the first time in 3 years. Francis, we need to talk. Victoria says you're at Whitmore. You transferred without telling us. I answered flatly, I didn't think you'd care. A pause. Of course I care. You're my daughter. Am I? The words were calm, not bitter. You told me I wasn't worth the investment. Remember? Silence. Francis, that was 4 years ago in the living room. You said I wasn't special, that there was no return on investment. I don't hate you. I just don't need your approval. More silence. We should discuss this in person at graduation. We're coming for Victoria's ceremony. I know you'll be there, Dad. I hung up. He never called back. That night, in my small apartment, paid for with my own earnings, I reflected on the conversation. He didn't remember or chose not to. Either way, he had never truly seen me. In 3 months, he would. But that moment wouldn't come because I forced it. It would come because he couldn't look away. The weeks before graduation were quiet in a strange way. I knew they were coming. Mom, Dad, Victoria. The whole perfect family unit descending on campus for Victoria's big day. They booked a hotel, planned dinner, ordered flowers. They still didn't know the full picture. Victoria had told them I was at Whitmore, but she didn't know about the Whitfield Scholarship, the Valedictorian honor, or that I would deliver the commencement address. Dr. Smith called to check in. "Do you want me to notify your family about the speech?" "No," I said. "I want them to hear it like everyone else. It's not about making them feel bad. It's about telling my truth." Rebecca drove up for the ceremony. She helped me pick a dress, the first new piece of clothing I'd bought in 2 years that wasn't thrifted. Navy blue, simple, elegant. "You look like a CEO," she said. "I feel like I'm going to throw up." "Same thing," I replied. The night before graduation, sleep didn't come. Not from nerves exactly, but from wondering, what would I feel when I saw them? Would the old pain return? Would I want them to hurt as I had? I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m. seeking answers. What I found surprised me. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want them to suffer. I just wanted to be free. And tomorrow, I would be. Graduation morning, May 17th. Bright sun, clear blue sky. Whitmore Stadium seated 3,000. By 9 a.m., nearly full, families streaming through gates, flowers and balloons everywhere, the hum of conversation filling the air. I arrived early, entering through the faculty door. My regalia was different. Standard black gown, gold valedictorian sash across my shoulders, Whitfield Scholar medallion pinned to my chest, gleaming in the morning light. I took a seat in the VIP section, front of the stage. 20 feet away, in the general graduate section, Victoria took selfies, unaware of me. In the front row, my parents sat dead center, Dad in his navy suit, Mom in a cream dress, bouquet of roses in her lap. An empty chair sat between them, not for me, never for me. Dad fiddled with his camera. Mom smiled, waving. They looked happy, proud, oblivious. The university president approached the podium. The crowd hushed. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Whitmore University's class of 2025 commencement ceremony." Applause and cheers. I sat still, hands folded, knowing in moments they would see me. I looked once more at my parents, their cameras poised, ready for Victoria's moment. Soon, I thought. Soon, you'll finally see me. The ceremony proceeded. Welcome address, acknowledgments, honorary degrees. Then the president returned. "It is my honor to introduce this year's valedictorian and Whitfield Scholar, Frances Townsend." My heart raced. A student demonstrating extraordinary resilience, academic excellence, and strength of character. Mom leaned over to whisper to Dad, who nodded, pointing at Victoria, "Please welcome Frances Townsend." For a suspended moment, nothing happened. Then I stood. 3,000 eyes turned toward me. I walked toward the podium, heels clicking, gold sash swaying, medallion gleaming. In the front row, I watched my parents' faces transform. Confusion, recognition, shock, pale silence. Victoria's jaw dropped. "Frances," she mouthed. I reached the podium, adjusted the microphone. Applause filled the stadium. My parents didn't join. They sat frozen. For the first time, they were really looking at me. Not at Victoria. At me. I let the applause fade, then spoke. "Good morning, everyone. 4 years ago, I was told I wasn't worth the investment." My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's camera hung useless. "I was told I didn't have what it takes. I was told to expect less because others expected less. I learned to expect more. I worked 3 jobs, survived on 4 hours of sleep, instant ramen dinners, and secondhand textbooks. I built something from nothing, not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove myself right. The greatest gift I received wasn't financial support or encouragement. It was the chance to discover who I am without anyone's validation." In the front row, Mom cried. Not joyful, but something like grief. Dad sat motionless, staring as if I were a stranger. Maybe I was. I paused. To anyone who's ever been told, "You're not enough," you are. You always have been. I looked across the sea of faces, graduates, parents who sacrificed, friends who believed, and yes, my own family, frozen in place. I am here because I learned to believe in myself. Thunderous applause followed. Standing ovation, 3,000 cheering for a girl they didn't know. I stepped down, shaking hands with the dean, and saw James Wilt III waiting. The reception buzzed. Champagne? Congratulations, and then my parents moving through the crowd. Dad reached me first. "Frances," his voice was hoarse. "Why didn't you tell us?" I accepted a glass of sparkling water from a passing server and took a sip. "Did you ever ask?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. Mom arrived beside him. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. Baby, I'm so sorry. We didn't know. So sorry you knew. You chose not to see. That's not fair. My voice stayed calm. Dad spoke next. Fair? His tone was measured, not sharp. You told me I wasn't worth investing in. You paid $4 million for Victoria's education and told me to figure it out myself. That's what happened. Mom reached for me. I stepped back. Francis, please. I'm not angry, I said, and meant it. The anger had burned away years ago, replaced by something clearer. But I'm not the same person who left your house 4 years ago. Dad's jaw tightened. I made mistakes. I said things I shouldn't have. You said what you believed, I said. You were right about one thing, though. I wasn't worth the investment, not to you, but I was worth every sacrifice I made for myself. He flinched, as if struck. At that moment, James Whitfield III appeared at my elbow, extending his hand. Miss Townsend, brilliant speech. The foundation is proud to have you. I shook his hand while my parents watched. The founder of one of the nation's most prestigious scholarships was treating their once worthless daughter like a treasure. I saw it hit them, the weight of what they'd missed, what they'd thrown away. After Mr. Whitfield moved on, I turned back to my parents. I'm not going to pretend everything's fine, I said, because it's not. Francis, please, Mom whispered. Can we just talk as a family? We are talking. I mean, really talk. Come home for the summer. Let us know. The word is firm, but not harsh, I said. I have a job in New York. I start in 2 weeks. I won't be coming home. Dad stepped forward. You're cutting us off just like that? I'm setting boundaries, I said steadily. There's a difference. What do you want from us? His voice cracked. For the first time, I saw my father truly lost. Tell me what you want and I'll do it, he said. I considered the question. I don't want anything from you anymore. That's the point. I took a breath. But if you want to talk, really talk, you can call me. I might answer, I might not. It depends if you're calling to apologize or just to make yourself feel better. Mom was crying again. We love you, Francis. We've always loved you. Maybe, I said. But love isn't just words. It's choices. And you made yours. Victoria appeared at the edge of our circle, hesitant. Francis. Congratulations, I said. No hug, no tearful reconciliation, but no cruelty either. I'll call you sometime, I told her. If you want, she nodded, eyes wet. I'd like that. I turned and walked away, not running, not escaping, just moving forward. Dr. Smith waited by the exit, a quiet smile on her face. You did well, she said. I'm free, I replied, and for the first time in my life, I meant it. The ripples began before my parents even left campus. At the reception, I watched the realization spread through family, friends, and acquaintances. Mrs. Wesh Patterson from the country club approached my mother. Diane, I didn't know Francis went to Whitmore and was a Whitfield scholar. You must be so proud. My mother's smile looked forced. Yes, very proud. How on earth did you keep it a secret? Over the following weeks, questions multiplied. Dad's business partners asked about me. Saw your daughter's speech online. Incredible story. You must have really pushed her to excel. He couldn't tell them the truth, that he'd done the opposite. Victoria called 3 days after graduation. Mom hasn't stopped crying. Dad barely talks. He just sits there. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. Are you? I thought about it. I didn't want them to suffer, but I wasn't responsible for their feelings. Silence on the line. Francis, I'm sorry. I should have asked. I should have paid attention. I was so wrapped up in my own stuff, and I know you knew I was oblivious. I paused. Neither of us chose the way we were raised, but we can choose what happens next. More silence. Do you hate me? She asked. No, I said. I don't have the energy to hate anyone. I just want to move forward. Can we maybe get coffee sometime? Start over? I thought about my sister, the girl who had everything and ended up empty-handed in a different way. Yeah, I said. I'd like that. 2 months after graduation, I stood in my new Manhattan studio. Small, a single window, tiny kitchen, but mine. I signed the lease with money from my first paycheck at Morrison & Associates, a top financial consulting firm. Entry level, long hours, steep learning curve. I had never been happier. Dr. Smith called on a Saturday morning. How's the big city treating you? Exhausting, exciting, everything they warned me about. She laughed. That sounds about right. I'm proud of you, Francis. I hope you know that. I do. Thank you for everything. Rebecca visited the following weekend. She declared the apartment exactly as small and depressing as expected. then hugged me so hard I could barely breathe. You did it, Frankie. You actually did it. One evening, I found a handwritten letter in my mailbox. 3 pages, my mother's looping script. She wrote about regret, the small ways she had failed me, about seeing me on stage and realizing she'd been looking at a stranger who was also her daughter. I know I can't undo what happened, but I want you to know, I see you now. I see who you've become, and I am so sorry I didn't see you sooner. I read the letter twice, folded it, and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't reply. Not yet. Not to punish her, but because I needed time to decide what, if anything, I wanted to say. For once, the choice was mine. I used to think love was something you earned. If I was smart enough, good enough, successful enough, my parents would finally see me. 4 years of struggle taught me differently. You can't make someone love you the right way. You can't earn what should have been given freely. At some point, you have to notice your own worth. I look at my life now, my apartment, my job, my friends who chose me, and realize I built this piece by piece. Not out of anger, not spite, but necessity. My parents' rejection didn't break me. It rebuilt me. The girl in that living room 4 years ago, desperate for approval, no longer exists. In her place is a woman who knows her worth and doesn't need anyone else to validate it. Some nights I still think about them, family dinners I missed, Christmas photos without me, the money spent on my sister while I ate ramen. It still hurts sometimes. But the hurt no longer controls me. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about releasing your grip on pain. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm working on it. For the first time, I'm working on it for me. 6 months after graduation, my phone rang. Dad. I almost let it go to voicemail. Hello, Francis. Tired. Thank you for picking up. I wasn't sure I would. Silence. I deserve that. I've been thinking every day since graduation, trying to figure out what to say to you. I keep coming up empty. Just say what's true. I was wrong. Not just about the money, about everything. The way I treated you, the things I said, the years I didn't call, didn't ask, didn't. His voice cracked. I have no excuse. I was your father and I failed you. I listened. I hear you, I said. What did you expect? I don't know. Maybe you'd tell me how to fix this. It's not my job to tell you how to fix what you broke. More silence. You're right, he said, older than I'd ever heard him. You're absolutely right. I took a breath. If you want to try, I'm willing to let you. You are? I'm not promising anything. No family dinners, no pretending everything's fine. But if you want a real, honest conversation, no deflecting, I'll listen. That's more than I deserve. Yes, it is. He laughed, a small, broken sound. You've always been the strong one, Francis. I was just too blind to see it. Yeah, I said. You were. We talked for a few more minutes. Nothing profound, just two people trying to find common ground across years of distance. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a start. 2 years have passed since graduation. I'm still in New York, still at Morrison and Associates, and I've been promoted twice. This fall, I'll start my MBA at Kolia, fully funded by my company. The girl who ate ramen and slept 4 hours a night would barely recognize me, but I haven't forgotten her. I carry her with me every day. Victoria and I meet for coffee once a month. It's awkward at times. We're learning to be sisters as adults, which is strange because we never truly were as kids. But she's trying. I'm sorry I didn't see it, she said at our last coffee. All those years, I was focused on what I was getting. I never asked what you weren't. I know, I said. How do you not hate me for that? Because you didn't create the system. You just benefited from it. My parents visited last month, the first time in New York. It was uncomfortable and stilted. Dad spent half the time apologizing. Mom spent the other half crying. But they came. They showed up at my door, in the life I built without them. That meant something. I'm not ready to call us a family again. That word carries too much weight, too much history. But we're something, working on something. Last month, I wrote a $10,000 anonymous check to the Eastbrook State Scholarship Fund for students without family financial support. Rebecca cried when I told her, Frankie, you're literally changing someone's life. I thought about Dr. Smith, the coffee shop shifts at dawn, the night I bookmarked the Whitfield Scholarship, never believing I'd actually win it, about how far I've come and how far I still want to go. If my story resonates with you, if you've ever been overlooked, underestimated, or told you weren't good enough by those who should have loved you most, I want you to hear this. They were wrong. Always wrong. Your worth is not determined by who notices it. It's not a check, a seat at a table, or a place in a photo. Your worth exists whether anyone acknowledges it or not. I spent 18 years waiting for my parents to notice me. 4 more years proving I didn't need them to. And what I finally learned: the approval I chased would never fill the hole inside me. Only I could do that. Some of you are estranged from your families. Some are still fighting for scraps of attention. Some are realizing the love you're getting isn't the love you deserve. Wherever you are, it's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to put yourself first. And it's okay to forgive. But only when you're ready, not a moment sooner. You don't need anyone else to confirm what you already know. You are enough. You always have been. Look in the mirror and say it out loud. I am enough. That's the first step. The rest is up to you. I believe in you. If a girl once called not worth the investment can stand on a stage in front of 3,000 people as a Whitfield Scholar, you can do anything. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it and leave a comment. What part resonated with you most? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next story. More family drama stories are waiting for you in the description below.